Namaste my dear students, welcome to our information technology class. In the last class, we have discussed on Adobe Photoshop CC 2018 and the features and the interface we have learned. Right? Today we are going to discuss some of the selection tools, some of the different kinds of tools which are used in Adobe Photoshop CC to create the document. Okay, so let us start our class. Move and selection tools. Photoshop provides a tool called Move tool to move the object around the surface. It also provides various types of selection tools. Move tool. Move tool is located at the top of the tools panel. It allows you to move a selection, a layer, a text box and objects by dragging them with your mouse or using your keyboard arrow keys. Just press and hold the control key from the keyboard and the move tool will activate instantly regardless of the currently activated tool. Next is rectangular marquee tool. You will find the rectangular marquee tool below the move tool. This tool helps you to make a rectangular selection. Follow the below steps to use the rectangular marquee tool. Click on the rectangular marquee tool from the tools panel. Step 1. Step 2. Click at the point from where you want to begin the selection and press and hold the left mouse button and drag towards the other corner of the object. Release the mouse button. When you release the mouse button, a dotted box appears around your selection. Next tool is elliptical marquee tool. With the elliptical marquee tool, we can make an elliptical or oval selection of an image. Follow the below steps to use the elliptical marquee tool. Step 1. Click and hold the left mouse button. Press down the small arrow icon in the bottom right corner of the rectangular marquee tool. A flyout menu opens which shows the list of other tools. Step 2. Select the elliptical marquee tool from the flyout menu. Click and drag over the area which you want to select. A dotted oval or elliptical selection will appear. To get a perfect circle selection, you need to press and hold the shift key while dragging. You can also select a single row or column by using the single row marquee tool or single column marquee tool respectively. Next is lasso tool. Lasso tool works like a pencil. This tool is also called freehand selection tool. It is the easiest tool because you simply click and drag your mouse around the object or area you want to select. You need to be quite sturdy while using lasso tool. To make a selection, follow the below steps. Open an image in Photoshop. Click on the lasso tool from the tools panel. When you select the lasso tool, the mouse pointer will change to a small lasso icon. And in step 3, click at the spot in the image from where you want to begin the selection. Then drag to draw a free-form selection. To complete the selection, return to the spot where you began and release your mouse button. But if you do not close the selection, Photoshop will automatically close the selection for you by drawing a straight line from the point where you released your mouse button to the point where you began. Next is the polygonal lasso tool. Polygonal lasso tool makes a straight-edged selection around your object in the shape of a polygon. It does not allow curve or freehand selections. To use this tool, follow the below steps. Step 1. Open an object or image in which you want a selection. Click and hold the left mouse button. Press down the small arrow icon in the bottom right corner of the lasso tool. A flyout menu will appear. Select the polygonal lasso tool from the flyout menu. Click at the beginning where you want to start the selection and then continue clicking to set the end point to select the object. A small circle will appear in the bottom right corner of the mouse pointer when you are close to the starting point to complete the selection. To close the selection, double click anywhere with the polygonal lasso tool. Photoshop will automatically close the selection with a straight line from the point you click to your initial starting point. Next is the magnetic lasso tool. Magnetic lasso tool is an edge detection tool which searches for the edge of the object. As you move your mouse pointer around the object, it makes the selection on the edges and clings to it. It performs best when your image has a lot of contrast between the foreground and background elements. For example, a basket full of fruits with light colored background wallpaper. Open an image in Photoshop. Select the magnetic lasso tool from the tools panel. Click anywhere on the edge of the object to start the selection. Move the mouse pointer over the edges of the object. Small squares called anchor points appear along the selection line. To close the selection, return to the starting point. Similar to the polygonal lasso tool, a small circle appears next to your cursor indicating that you are at the current place to close the selection. Click on the starting point, your object is selected. Quick Selection Tool. Quick Selection Tool makes a selection based on the color and contrast of the same color in the image that you wish to select. It remembers all the consecutive strokes. This way you can make different selections in a single image also. Perform the following steps to use the Quick Selection Tool. Open an image of object in Photoshop. Select the Quick Selection tool from the Tools panel. When the Quick Selection tool is selected, the mouse pointer looks like a circle with a plus sign in the center. Click on the object to select it. The area with same color and contrast is selected. By default, the Quick Selection tool is set to add to your selection. You can toggle from adding to selection to subtracting selection by pressing the Alt key. Next is the Magic Wand tool. Magic Wand tool selects areas of similar color pixels around it with just one click. One of the most common use of this tool is to remove the background of an image, leaving the main object in place. It works best when the image has few colors only or the background and the object is clearly differentiated. Perform the following steps to use the Magic Wand tool. Open an image in Photoshop. Select the Magic Wand tool from the Tools panel. Set the tolerance property in the options bar. In case of higher value, wider area is selected. If you increase the tolerance to 50 or more, it will make the selection more universal and to select all the nearby shades with the same tint or color. Make sure that anti-alias and contiguous options are checked from the options bar. Click on the area where you want to make the selection. It is better to select the background of an image and then invert the selection instead of wasting time with the lasso tool and drawing a more complex shape. You can choose inverse from the select tab in the application bar. Next is the cropping tools. Photoshop CC provides 4 cropping tools to crop the images in various ways. Let us learn about them. The first cropping tool is Crop tool. Crop tool is used to trim an image and remove the unwanted areas from the image. You can also make a new image from the original image without affecting the original image. Follow the below steps to crop an image. Open an image in Photoshop which you want to crop. Select the crop tool from the tools panel. Photoshop automatically places a crop box and handles around your image. Handles can be seen in each of the four corners as well as in the middle of the sides. Just drag these handles to crop the image according to the requirement and press enter key when done. Don't forget to uncheck the delete crop pixels checkbox in the options bar to be able to change the crop selection later on. Next is the perspective crop tool. Sometimes we need to work on an image which has some distortion or deformity. It happens when an object is photographed from a different angle instead of a straight view. This can make a square look like a trapezoid. With the help of the perspective crop tool, you can stretch or shrink the image. This tool will also help you to elongate the subject as though you had taken the photo from a different perspective. Perform the following steps to use the perspective crop tool. Step 1. Open an image in Photoshop. Step 2. Select the perspective crop tool from the tools panel. Step 3. First draw the cropping border around the image. You will notice the crop handles and a grid appears all over the cropped area. Step 4. Now start dragging the handle in the top left corner towards the right until the vertical grid line matches the left side of the image. Also drag the handle in the top right corner towards the left until the vertical grid line matches the right side of the image. Press enter from the keyboard. This removes the distortion from the image and crops the image to the selected portion only. Next is Slice tool and Slice Select tool. Slice tool divides an image or layout into smaller selections called slices, which can be exported and developed separately. This is mainly used for web publications. These small slices can be saved as a separate file and can be modified using the save for web command. The slices created manually are called user slices. As we create user slices, Photoshop automatically divides the rest of the area. Slice tool automatically becomes Slice Select tool whenever we hover over a user slice. This allows us to edit it without having to manually select the Slice Select tool each time. To slice an image, perform the following steps. Step 1. Open an image in Photoshop. Step 2. Select the Slice tool from the Tools panel. Step 3. Click and drag across the image manually. The user slices will be created. Use the Shift plus click to add slices to the selection. Now you can move, resize or align the slice with other slices. You can also put a name, a message and URL for the slice by double clicking on a slice. Next is the painting tools. Painting tools are used to change the area of the canvas or image by adding paint strokes or filling the areas with color. Photoshop provides different types of painting tools. The first type is brush tool. Brush tool is a traditional painting tool which is used to apply colors with strokes on the image. You can see several brush preset samples available in the brush preset picker in the options bar. While selecting this brush tip or preset, it also allows you to modify the size and hardness of the brush. You can also adjust the flow of the color on the screen with the help of different modes available in the options bar. Opacity slider in the options bar controls the thickness of the color in the image. Flow determines how quickly the brush tool applies the color. You can also select foreground color, that is the color in the upper box, and background color, that is the color in the lower box. Here the foreground color blue and the background color is white. Follow the below steps. Open a new or an existing Photoshop document. Click on the brush tool in the Tools panel. Choose a brush from the Brush Presets panel. Select the options for mode, opacity, size, hardness, etc. from the options bar. Select the foreground color. Click and drag in the image to paint. To draw a straight line, hold down Shift key while dragging. Pencil tool. Pencil tool creates the free-form lines like a normal pencil and uses the foreground color. It is like a virtual pencil that you can use to create designs or lines with options to change the color, opacity, intensity and pencil diameter. It also works with various modes to enhance the outlook of your project and create unique design artworks that look like hand-drawn images. Follow the below steps to use the pencil tool. Open a new or an existing Photoshop document. Click on the pencil tool in the Tools panel. Go to the Brush Preset panel to modify the size and shape of the pencil tool. Click and drag on the canvas or the image to draw. You can also try different modes available in options bar. Next is the color replacement tool. Color replacement tool replaces the original color of an image through sampling with the foreground color. By specifying the different sampling methods, limits and tolerance settings in the options bar, you can control the range of colors that Photoshop replaces. The mouse pointer will change into a circle with a small plus sign in the center called crosshair. Follow the below steps to use the color replacement tool. Step 1. Open an image in which you want to change the color of an object. For example, the red apple. Click on the color replacement tool in the Tools panel and select green as the foreground color. Select the desired brush tip, size, hardness, modes, limits, etc. from the options bar. Move the crosshair over the object in the image and click. As soon as you click, the Photoshop samples the object's color under the crosshair. Now it knows which color to replace. The color under crosshair changes into green, that is the foreground color. Just click and drag the mouse button over the remaining areas to change the rest of the color. Do not move the crosshair away from the object, otherwise it will sample the color of the area outside your object and you will start changing it into foreground color as well. If you do so by mistake, you can just undo. Sampling continuous replaces all the colors with the foreground color. Sampling once changes color which you first click. Sampling background search replaces the color of the object into the background color. You can select your desired blend mode from color, hue, saturation and luminosity. Contiguous limit replaces the color of neighboring pixels containing the sampled color. Discontinuous limit replaces the color of the pixel containing the sampled color whether or not they are close by. Tolerance refers to a range of color. A high tolerance lets you replace a broad range of colors. A low tolerance limits the replacement of color to only areas that are similar to the sampled color. Anti-aliasing softens and smoothens the edges of the sampled areas slightly. Next is the mixer brush tool. Mixer brush tool lets you paint in Photoshop as if you are painting on a real canvas. It lets you pick up color from the canvas. That is why it is also known as realistic painting technique, which mixes colors on the canvas, combines colors on a brush and wetness across a stroke. It gives crystal effects and textures that resemble those in a painting that you might create on a canvas. With the color in the background and with the canvas itself. It converts photos into artwork without applying filters, etc. Follow the below steps. Open a new document and select the mixer brush tool from the tools panel. Step 2. Select the desired brush from the brush presets picker in the options bar. Step 3. To sample a color, either you can click on the current brush slot from the options bar and select the desired color, or press Alt key and click from where you wish to sample color in the current page. Set various options in the options bar according to your preference, specifying the percentages of wet, load, mix and flow effects the outcome on the canvas. Step 5. Click and drag the mouse on an image to paint. Current brush load search has 3 options. Load brush fills your brush. Clean brush removes the color from your brush. Load solid colors only enables you to pick one color. Load brush after each stroke or clean brush after each stroke automatically loads your brush with selected color and then cleans your brush after each stroke. Blending modes: choose presets from dry, moist, wet, very wet, etc. Next is the history brush tool. History brush tool helps you to restore multiple images states with colors, details, smoothness as you move through a Photoshop session while working on an individual image. It gives us the option of multiple undos. It allows you to paint back your image to an early state. It saves you from the tedious work like duplicating a portion of the image to another layer, retouching a layer and merging to the underlying layer again. History states can also be saved as snapshots with the help of small camera at the bottom of the history panel. In the options bar, you can experiment with brush size and type, mode, opacity and flow percentage and airbrush. Perform the following step to use the history brush tool. Open an image in Photoshop. Step 2. Open the history panel by selecting Window History option from the application bar. Step 3. Select the history brush tool from the tools panel. Step 4. Make the desired changes in the image. In this case, the image has been changed to desaturate mode by image adjustment desaturate option from the application bar. You can see this. The history panel saves the steps of this image as layers. We have also highlighted the areas by using the history brush tool and paint it over the image as normal brush. Notice the history panel, all the versions of the image are saved as different layers. Original images remains unchanged. Gradient tool. Gradient tool creates an inclined blend of 2 or more colors which adds a creative value to your work. The gradient tool can be used to draw linear, radial, angular, reflected or diamond gradients. The paint bucket tool applies the same color to the entire selection. The gradient tool applies multiple colors that transition from one to next. Follow the below steps. Create a new document in Photoshop CC. Select the gradient tool from the tools panel. Select one of the preset gradients from the gradient picker on the options bar. Drag the gradient tool from the top to the bottom. The selected gradient effect is applied in the document. Photoshop provides 5 types of gradients which are as follow: linear gradient, radial gradient, angular gradient, reflected gradient and diamond gradient. Next is the paint bucket tool. Paint bucket tool in Photoshop fills adjacent pixels that are similar in color in the image. It fills with either the selected foreground color or with a pattern. If the image has flat colors, then there will not be any issues while filling colors. But if the image is complex and has a lot of colors, then paint bucket tool will not be of much use. Follow the below steps to use paint bucket tool. Step 1. Create a new document or image with similar color or pattern. Step 2. Select the paint bucket tool from the tools panel. Select a mode from the mode drop-down list in the options bar. In this case, we have selected the linear burn mode. Step 4. Set the tolerance value in the options bar. The tolerance value directly affects the pixels to be filled with color. A low tolerance value means only very similar color pixels will be affected, and high tolerance value means more pixels will be affected. Step 4. The range of tolerance is 0 to 255. If the contiguous option is checked, only pixels that are connected to the original pixel are filled. Step 5. Select the desired foreground color and click on the image. The similar color pixels are changed. Next is 3D Material Drop Tool. The 3D Material Drop Tool lets you sample a material or pattern or color from one area or object and then drop it into another area of your 3D model. Follow the below steps to use the 3D Material Drop Tool. Create a new document in Photoshop and draw a gradient. Click on the 3D menu in the application bar. A drop-down menu will appear. Select the new mesh from layer option. A sub-menu will appear. Select the mesh preset plus hat option. The 3D model of hat will appear. With the help of the 3D model handles, you can move your model in any direction. To change the texture of the hat, select the 3D Material Drop tool from the toolbox. Step 6. From the options bar, click on the Material Picker option and choose the desired texture from the available material. Click on the 3D model hat. Selected texture will be applied on the 3D model. So, I hope you understood thoroughly the concept of this Adobe Photoshop CC, the different components and the different tools which we are used in Adobe Photoshop CC 2018, right? Please go through this video carefully. Thank you dear friends for watching this video.